Recording. Good afternoon again, traders. This is the second part of this webinar today. We are recording this for all of you, and I promise you I'm going to give you some basic stuffs in Elliott Wave. Now, I'm going to show you something totally different from what you should, how you should look at Elliott Wave. So let's pick a chart. Tell me which chart you guys want me to use. Any chart. Silver. Okay. Pong, I got Pong, Yen, Pong, Dollar, Pong, CAD. That's a lot of choice there. Okay, everybody stop now. Let me see which one looks like it has the most. CAD, I see CAD too. I see Pong has couple well and CAD has couple well, right? So let's go with any of those two. Or okay, and darn, you guys choose like everything. Everything is here and a lot. Yeah, and XAG, CAD, and this can't help me. Aussie also has about 4 or 5. So okay, for safety sake, let's take either CAD or let's take either Aussie, because structurally those two are good, right? So let's go with that. Let's ignore the crosses because you'll get it. So let's go between CAD and Aussie. Let's go now. Start. Okay, I think Aussie is winning, so I'll go. No, CAD is winning now. Let's go with the CAD dollar. It has a lot of potential too, so let's go with CAD. I'll take everything out. Sorry, because I can't count all of them. I'll just go with what I think look better between those two. Let's go with CAD and let's start. Let's start from the Monty. And here's what I want you guys to think of. I want all of you, just imagine for a second. If you have to close your eyes to imagine this, just imagine for a second. Imagine yourself not having a computer. Right? You don't have a computer. Imagine yourself drawing the charts by hand on a graph paper. Just imagine that. And you're drawing years and years worth of chart, 10 years worth of chart. Not one chart, maybe a number of different charts, stock charts. But years and years of chart and a graph paper, and you're rolling that up and you're rolling up. And you first have to draw it, which is not easy. And then you have to analyze it. And don't make mistakes. Not possible, right? You'll probably make some mistakes every now and then as you're doing that. That's a lot of work, years and years of work. And then you have to go through all these charts on a daily basis, go through all these charts, look for setups, look for patterns that can repeat themselves. So you're rolling these, you have a good big roll of charts. You roll it out, you start going through it. You're not going to finish a big part in a day, and because you're doing it by hand, everything, right? And then you go through and you look for patterns that you can see that may repeat themselves. And after a year, you decide, you know what, guys, I'm seeing some things. And then you spend the next 10 years trying to figure out that, is it what you saw that you draw on the chart? Does it really exist? Is it really something that can repeat itself? And can you recognize that same thing if you see it again in another chart? Now, that was what Elliott was doing. Elliott Rob Nelson was doing. He was actually going through charts with no computers. Most of you can't even use the computer. And when I tell my traders, I want you to go back and do 2 years of testing on this one single chart on the computer. And they're like, man, that's a lot of work. And I'm like, hey, guys, that's not any kind of work. If you want to be good at this, that's nothing. So that is thing. So we have to give huge amount of credits for the work that Elliott did. But we have to take into consideration that that's not the end of wave theory. He wasn't the first person who came up with the idea that the chart moves in waves. He will not be the last person. All of us can see that the chart moves in waves. What every single guy, right, exactly, the Dow theory was older, and even before the Dow theory, I think the Japanese had already recognized that there are waves, right, in the chart. So there's a lot of people that can see it. The biggest problem with that is that a lot of people couldn't figure out how to put them into patterns. Dow came up with the theory that the chart moves in 3 waves, right? 3 waves. Elliott came up with a more, the latest version that no, the chart moves in 3 waves, 5 waves, 3 waves, 5 waves, 3 waves for progression, because that is what he thought he saw in the charts. Now, we will give all of these guys credits and make assumption that whatever they were studying showed them that. That doesn't mean we cannot go and study the charts and find something else in it. Because out of of all the great things that Elliott has done for us, including giving you how to label, simplify the label of the charts and all of those things, he never really told us the most important thing: how to identify a single wave in the chart. And that is why if you have 10 Elliott wavers and you give them one piece of this chart, you give them this piece of the chart from here to here. That is how much years of work. Let's go look at it. I'm going to put 2 lines, and I want you to show you where Elliott wavers are getting it wrong, or at least those guys who call themselves Elliott wavers. From here to here, if you give them that piece of chart and you say to them, tell me how many waves you see in here. Give me the wave count of that. And I guarantee you all 10 of them will have different wave counts. And you know why they will all have different wave counts? Because nobody knows where a wave starts and where a wave ends. That's the point. If you're looking at this, let's make an assumption that that is one piece. You don't know which part of that is a single wave. You want to break that up? You can go and break it up. Let's say you want to break it up in a lower time frame, a daily, for example. And you take that in a daily and you said, okay, tell me how many waves you have there in the daily. And then you see all of them go crazy, start arguing with each other. Because once you go in the daily, and this is the lowest point, let me put it here, and I'll squeeze it just for simplicity. You go in the daily, and boy, you see all the Elliott wavers get different counts because they have no idea which part of that is a single wave and how many waves it should be in there and what pattern they're looking at. That is the problem with Elliott wave, is that he never told us, hey, this piece would be one wave, right? He did leave some rules and some clues for us to figure out how we're going to read the charts, right? And you know, some of the basic, all of you know the three rules he left. I don't have to go. We don't even want to go into them, right? Wave 1, wave 2 should never be above wave 1, and that I think is very logical. Elliott didn't do anything that was non-logical. Everything he did was very logical, right? If you're getting a wave 1 as the first impulse, wave 2 cannot go above it, right? Because then that means this thing didn't start here. It cannot start and then go back above the start and then come back, right? That's not a starting point. The starting point means the point from where it eventually starts. So wave 2 cannot go beyond wave 1. Wave 4 cannot go into wave 1's territory unless it's a diagonal. And what he did, I think eventually he came up with the first rule, and then he found that some of them went in, and then he found that structure that's called a diagonal, right? So, you know, wave 3 should never be the shortest, because in his theory and the way he looked at it, most of the waves 3 were the longest, because psychologically he's thinking that the wave 3 should go, right? So let's give him credit for that, and let's say we're going to use the same set of rules. Let's just say we're going to use the same set of rules to check the charts. We still have a problem. How would you look at wave 1? Is this all wave 1? Or is this all wave 1? Or is this all wave 1? And that depends on your ability and your fantasy to decide which part is wave 1 and which part is wave 3 and which part is wave 5. That is the problem. And that is the problem all Elliott wavers have. I had that problem when I started. That was my biggest problem. And that is the problem I solved. And that is why most of my wave counts occur. So let me show you what you need to do when you're going to learn Elliott wave. Here's what you need to do. Don't think about the counting. Forget about the counting. Ignore the counting for a while. You need to understand the concept. Most people who read the book, they read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, and they go on the chart and they stare to, you know, and they take off on the labeling like crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, ABC. And they're getting it all wrong, but they just insist on continuing in that direction. As if that is the most important thing. That is not. That is of the least importance. What is important is dig into the concept. What is Elliott trying to tell us? What is the concept that he's trying to put to us? That the chart moves in waves, and that these waves create patterns. Waves create patterns. You need a number of waves to create a pattern. Any single one wave in any time frame is just a wave. When you go in a lower time frame, yes, you might find a number of waves in it, and that creates a pattern. And what is most important that he told us, and this is what I want all of you to pay attention, is that the chart makes impulse, and then it makes corrections. It makes another impulse, and then it makes corrections. So it made impulsive moves and corrective moves, impulsive moves and corrective moves. Now, here is where I'm going to get it with a lot of these so-called Elliott wavers. Elliott said the impulses are the moves that goes in the direction of the trend. The motive move, the motive waves, what he call motive waves, are waves that are consist of 5 wave subwaves within the direction of the trend. Now you can find many trends here. Let's say, for example, I am to draw a trend line here. You guys would learn the basic stuff like this. What if you draw a trend like that? Isn't that an uptrend? That is an uptrend. On a 4-hour, on a 1 hour, that is an uptrend. You have an impulse, you have a correction, and you have another impulse. You're going in the direction of the trend. And that is absolutely correct. You have a wave that is an impulsive wave. It pulses, it makes a correction, and it makes another pulse. He calls the pulsing move impulses. And he calls the move that goes against them corrective move. What he says is the corrective moves tend to have more waves in them than the impulsive moves. So let's take a look at this. The impulsive moves are sharper. The corrective moves have many waves, and the impulsive moves are sharp. So what you need to study is this one. You need to understand the different types of corrective waves he showed us. Remember, you need to learn the different types of corrective waves he shows us. Study the corrective waves, because once you study them, you will start to identify them in the chart. It's that simple. So any move that goes in the direction of the trend is an impulse, full stop. That's what he said, and that's what is happening. If anybody said anything else, they have no clue. They've read the book, they think they learned it, but they have no clue. Elliott was speaking English language in simple terms to us. Look for impulsive moves, look for corrective moves, and look for impulsive moves. And that is in a correction. What if you go in this correction? What if you go in this correction here? What would a correction be made up of? Any corrective structure is made up of an impulse, a correction, and another impulse. An impulsive move, a corrective move, and another impulsive move. That is what makes a corrective structure something that has 3 waves or more. It's actually 3 waves. And then he said, when he started to look at these corrective structures, he started to give them names. It doesn't matter what he named them, but he gave them names. And if we're going to use the same names he gave them, then okay. If he saw them looking like this, he said they are flat. In relationship to this, this is flat. That's simple, right? That's not Chinese. That's easy, pretty simple English language. It's not even Russian language. It's simple English language. It's flat. A flat has a 3 wave. He gives a number of variation of flats, but he's telling you that that pattern is flat in relationship to the impulse. He also tells us that some of these patterns form triangular patterns, and he gives a number of variation of triangles you can see. Expanding triangles, contracting triangles, but triangles. I think all of us know what a triangle is here, right? Nobody needs to tell you what a triangle looks like, right? So he gives us a number of patterns that looks like contracting triangles, that looks like expanding triangles, and some of them that look like triangles that will be, some people by variation call them barrier triangles, some people call them ascending and descending triangles, but they're triangles nonetheless. And then he said in the impulses, when you're looking for impulsive moves, remember that exception he made, that you can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me just draw that better. You can get 1, you can get 2, you can get 3, you can get 4, and you can get 5. Where the 4th wave go back in the territory of wave 1. right? This is what he said to us. And he said that is, he calls that a diagonal. Now, here is a simple thought. All of you can go do it now. Google the word diagonal and see what patterns come back. A diagonal is a pattern that goes like this. So if you go and you Google, I don't know, let's Google it. Diagonal lines, you'll Google, I think diagonal of a square, and you can go diagonal of a triangle. That's a diagonal. When you look at these patterns, when you look at more diagonals, let's look at diagonals in a triangle actually. I just want to show you these diagonals in a triangle. Diagonals of a triangle. And this is important. Let's go look at the diagonals of a triangle. Search for that. I think we got it right here. This is a triangle. And look for diagonals. You see what he said? Diagonals of a triangle. He didn't say diagonals are triangles. You see these patterns here? You got this? You see that pattern there? That's a diagonal pattern. You see this pattern here? That's a diagonal pattern. You see that pattern there? That's a diagonal pattern. When he said some of these impulses form diagonals, that is what he's talking about. He was talking English language. So for people who are confusing themselves with triangles and diagonals, they should look at the English language and they should look at math. He was talking about mathematical formations. Triangles. A lot of Elliott waivers out there write about diagonal triangles. They have no clue. Like I said, these guys don't study the concept. They read the book and they go and they repeat what they learn. Did I just close my chart? Darn, I did. Give me a second. Oh, let me just reopen this back and go back to it and get my chart again. Back to single layout. And we were in the CAD, right? CAD USD. Yep. So that is what he was talking about. He was talking about the mathematical structure. If it starts to do this, and let me show you some of them. Let's go into Euro and I'll show you what he was talking about. It's very simple. Let's go to the Euro Yen weekly. I'll identify some of it for you, right? Remember, learning is about knowledge. I want to get this to you guys. It's not about just blah, blah, blah and repeating something. It's about knowledge. That's what learning. If you want to become a good trader, everything should be based on knowledge. And that means if somebody tells you something, you can go back and look at it and say, wait, is that so? Let me go and see if that knowledge can be put to test and whether that is right knowledge. That is what Elliott was talking about. When he saw these patterns, he called them diagonal patterns. You notice them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those are the patterns he was talking about. And he called them diagonal patterns, not diagonal triangles. And this is what I was banned for in TradingView, because some comic who says to everybody, hey, I don't use this as in my normal signal service I sell to you, but I'll teach you how to do it. It's like you going to a gynecologist and he's saying to you, hey, don't worry, I'll check your heart. I'm not a heart surgeon, but or a heart specialist, but I'll check your heart. If he's even a doctor, he may not even be a doctor. And he said, don't worry, I'll still check your heart. That doesn't work. These guys are hyping you to sell signals to you. And the sad thing is that they get a lot of newbies who believe those crap and they buy stuff from them. Now, I'm not criticizing any one person. I'm criticizing the idea of doing that. It's an idea. That is what you guys have to learn. So what they're looking at is diagonals. What is the diagonal pattern? This is a diagonal pattern. Is that an impulse? Of course it's an impulse. This is your sharp impulse. And that impulse is an A wave. This is a B wave corrective structure. And you got a C wave in a diagonal. So a diagonal is a C wave impulse. Right? That's an ending diagonal. What Elliott said is when I look at these patterns, if the diagonal is at the end, he calls it an ending diagonal. There are only 2 ending diagonals you can find. In a C wave when you have an ABC, or in the fifth wave when you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He also finds them in the leading diagonals. And let me show you one in a leading structure. Let's go back to the CAD. Remember we took the CAD? Let's go look at the leading diagonal in a daily. We'll see it in a daily. It's also on a weekly, but I'll show you it in a daily, right? So you can see it. And this one is even so good because this one is an expansion. It's a leading expanding diagonal. So you had a correction here. See that big correction you had there? And now you look into this, and this is your first structure. You know this is expanding. He calls this the expanding diagonals. You know the pattern where it's going? You see that pattern, how it's looking? It doesn't look like a triangle, right? You can't call that a triangle. If you're calling that a triangle, I'm wondering, where did you learn math? Or where did you learn your formations, right? This is a 1, 2, 3 correction, and then you get your next impulse. This here is the impulse. Let me set this correct so you'll know exactly where it stopped. It stopped here. This is it. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your first impulse. This is your correction, 1, 2, 3, and that's your another impulse. Any one of you want to tell me you saw a triangle there? That's an expanding diagonal. I could see that. Why does it a diagonal? You call it expanding. You notice the sharpness of this squeezing in there. It's squeezing at the bottom, not at the top. It's expanding at the top. That's a leading expanding diagonal. That's it. That's how simple it is. Remember, don't complicate your lives. Elliott was not trying to complicate your life. He was trying to make it simple for you. So he used mathematical formations, triangles, diagonals, flat. You know, well, flat isn't the mathematical, but he actually tried to show you it's a flat pattern. Right? It's that simple. It's not complicated. The waves that are going in, impulsive waves, are the waves that are going in the direction of the trend. And if you pull a trend, this would be the direction of the trend. Those are the impulses. They are pulsing, they're pulsing, they're pulsing, they're pulsing. The ones that are going against the trends, those are the corrective structures. And I just showed you 5 subwaves in here. Here's another thing. Let me count it back again for you, Abdullah. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That they should have 5 subwaves inside? No, that's not true. By the way, some of the things Elliott did say and we did saw, and some of the patterns he saw, we see them different. When you take, if and when you take my course, you will see that, for example, a C wave, he says, is a 3, 3, 5. I'm going to show you about 100 C waves that has 3, 3, 3 patterns that are perfect flats, perfect C wave with 3 waves inside. Now, that is less important. Remember, we can't take that. He didn't write the Bible, right? He didn't get it from God. We have to give the guy space that some of the things he didn't see because he wasn't even looking at currencies, right? You have to take the concept, not the labeling, and not the names. Take the concept from him. If you understand his concept, you can make a lot of money using it, right? And I think that's what a lot of traders are not doing. They go, they read the book, they learn the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they can count from 1 to 5. They know ABC and they believe they're Elliott wavers. They go right in their name. Elliott wave specialist, Elliott wave theorist, Elliott wave, what else? Elliott wave super, whatever, you know. And they think they're, by writing it in your name, by calling yourself wave expert, wave trader, wave whatever, suddenly you're an expert in that. No, you're not. You're hyping people. You want to tell me, you want me to tell you who has authority when they're doing something? Put your name and put your photograph. That's authority. You're saying to the world, this is me, and I'm telling you this is what I believe in. This is what I know. When you're going to follow anybody and you're going to learn from people and you're going to go take a course from somebody, when you go to university, you see you can see the photograph of the professor there when you're going to take his class. He doesn't hide under some fancy name, right? He doesn't call himself fancy name. He has his name and he has his photograph there. And he has his biography. You can learn about him. You can go study his work. He has his work for you to study and decide whether you want to take his course. It's all about knowledge. That is what it is. You have to learn. This thing is based on knowledge. It's not based on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. It's a concept. It's a theory. And it's your job. It's your job to go and see how to make money using this theory. You can all do it. It calls for a lot of work. It's not easy. Nobody said it's easy. Anybody who tell you they can teach it in 20 sessions or in 20 hours and give me $500, I'll teach you. It's actually misleading you. This thing is not easy. You really have to go learn it. Read the book. I want all of you to read the book. Ignore the counting itself. Ignore it. Well, you have to know the names of the patterns because basically we all try to call them the same names. But try mostly to understand the concept, people. That's what Elliott's trying to tell you. The concept, that is what Dow was trying to tell, the concept of wave theories. That there are waves, and there are corrective waves, and there are pulsing waves. And if you understand them and you know how to trade them, you'll make money. An expanding structure in the weekly EU, possible. I think it's possible for a C wave to go up when we have an expansion. Ivan, see, Ivan knows what he's talking about. He's looking at structure. He's understanding those things. As a possibility, we're looking at that, but we will see. It needs to prove. Remember, every pattern, if they're in formation, they need to prove it. It's only when a pattern is absolutely completed you can say for sure that is the pattern. But some pattern you can tell this is what they're going to do. And that is our job. Our job is to learn the structure and to be able to forecast what is the next possible pattern coming up. Right? That's it. That's what you need to know. Remember, most of these guys who draw and write all these letters, they really can't figure out what is the next structure is going to do. They get a lot of it wrong. It's not about putting those letters and numbers. It's actually understanding the concept, so you can tell based on the concept, based on the understanding of the chart, your forecast should be right. So when you're going to go test anybody and you see they have a fancy name, here's what you're going to do. Take 100 of their charts, or 200. Not ones they're copying from somebody else, but ones they've created themselves. Because it's easy to copy from anybody. A few guys were even selling my charts on Facebook and on Instagram and all of that. They copy my charts, literally just take a copy and was selling it to people for signals. One of them even took my course and he was doing that. I kick him out of the room, kick him out of our room for life. He's not going to be there anymore. People do that. They just copy. They think you're successful. They look at your charts, they copy it, and they sell it. They sell it to people for signals. And somehow people buy it. The reason I know, because people come back and say, hey, I think this is your chart. I was like, yeah, that's my chart. He said, oh, this guy is selling it for signals. And he said, you're his partner. No, I don't have any partners. I don't work with any partners. I don't make that my business. I don't sell signals. Because nobody can trade signals if they don't know how to trade. If you're not an experienced trader, if you haven't had that work, if you don't have the knowledge, and you cannot manage accounts, you cannot manage your trade, you don't know where and when, how and what to do, I can give you signals every day, you will still lose your account. Trading is not about simply getting the signals. I've never met a super trader or a successful trader who said, hey, I'm very successful trader, I'm buying signals. Right? Those ratios that you see all over the place, they're not true. I've tested a lot of them. They're not true. That's not true. And I can go in a lot of charts and prove it to you. But that is not true. Don't look at those ratios. Look at, like I keep telling you guys, you're looking for an easy way out. Study the concept. Understand the deeper part of it, the depth of the concept. Not the ratios, not the simple part. If I put a fib here and it goes to the 618, all wave 3 will go to that. No, that's not true. Most of those ratios that you see, all of, like, you know, they have this ABCD pattern. A very simple pattern most people like to use is an ABCD pattern. They said, oh, an A, a B, a C, an A, B, C, D pattern, and they're equal to each other. That nonsense. As a concept, nonsense. And I can show you. Bring anybody in front of them. Bring anyone, any chart you guys. Let's take this chart, for example. Let's take this. Where do you want to put the A wave? Let's go. We want to take this as the A wave coming down. Let's take the corrective structure. You want to take this as the A wave coming down? Well, let's go see if the C wave is exactly equal to it. Not exactly, but close. Let's go take another one. Let's go take this A wave coming down. You want to see if the C wave is exactly equal to that? Not. You can take a million of them and you can see here is the A wave. This is the A wave in this structure. That is the B wave. This is the C wave. You want to tell me if they're equal? They're not. What if you're making a triangle? What if it's making a triangle? Would you get them equal? Look at this one. This is the A wave. That is the B wave. This is the C wave. Are they equal? No, they're not. They may be. Here's where that concept derived from. That concept derived from flats. That if you got an A, you're making a trend down, you get an A wave there, you get a B wave correction here, right? You're going to get a C wave like this, right? So if the B wave comes to the 618, this one will go to the 270. So these two will pretty much be equal. right? As flat formations. Let me put it like this, sorry. One, the A, the B comes back here, and the C go there. You get a perfect flat formation. So the A, B, C, D, but you don't have perfect formations. The problem is you don't get those perfect formations. You normally get an A that looks like this, a B that looks like this, and a C that looks like that. Or you get an A that looks like this, a B that looks like this, and a C that looks like that, and then you go down. And I can show you hundreds of those. In your trading, that's what you're going to get. Let's bring up the Aussie. Look, this is your impulse. This is your A, that's your B, this is your C, it's even shorter. This is your D, you're going for an E. A, B, C, D doesn't work in that sense. Right? There's so many cases where it will not work. You will not get it. It will never be that. Right? And you can go and look at them. I don't know how many I have to stress this, but let's see if we can find some more right here. Here is another formation in the Aussie. Triangular looking pattern. Right? It's not going to work. It doesn't work a lot of times, and it will not work. Don't try to grab that concept as the thing. That's an easy way out. It's like you don't want to ride a bicycle, you want to ride a tricycle. Learn the concept. Understand what patterns are developing. And then try to see if it develops this way, how should I trade it? Basically, as simple as that. Now, the hardest part in that is recognizing these patterns. Since when we be giving you this pattern formation? I think from way back in this here, way back in here, you can be seeing that we were drawing these patterns and we were saying this is what the structure is starting to look like, right? We looked at that. We said, look at this is going to come down here. It did that. Then we said, if you look at my post here, I had a post here, Christmas post for it to go back up. And we were thinking, okay, this may be an A, B, C, and this may go up. Once they hit that and it starts to go up and we relook at the structure, we start focusing this down move. Now, we didn't only just forecast the down move. We have trade setups from here and from here and from here. I just can't tell you what trade setups we have, but you'd be amazed that we already are in that trade. That's it. We're looking at it as a possible triangle. It might not be a triangle. That's the next thing. Here is it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All Elliott waivers will tell you that's a triangle to go back up. And I'm telling you no. There's a good chance you're looking at this. Look again. 1, I'll change the color now. 1, 2, 3, and I'll change the color again. 1. This could come all the way to the bottom here, and you're going to have 1, 2, 3. Let me show you an example of that. Let's go to the pound. And this is where Elliott waivers are freaking out when we tell them no. So let me pull this down here. Remember how many people thought that was a triangle? Let me remove everything here, just for you guys. You go to the internet and look hindsight backwards. You're going to see how many people were pretty sure 100% that that would be a triangle. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this should go down. And then when it didn't turn a triangle, what happens? Everybody, hey, your Elliott wave is not working. What happened? And we were saying, guys, be careful. This thing might not be a triangle. The reason it might not be a triangle is you would see sometime I would show you this pattern. And I'd say, watch this case. This might be an A. This could be a 1, 2, 3 contracting flat. And then we go out here for a C wave. It could also be a 1, 2, 3, 4, probably come back here 5 for a triangle and then go back out of this pattern. You know where I had a chart like that? Anybody here remembers that except my traders? My traders definitely know. Anybody else want to tell me where I had a chart with that triangle in the middle? We thought it was a bigger triangle and then it changed. Copper, exactly. Some of you are looking at my charts. Copper. I actually drew that, right? When we thought that this was building a triangle, and as it started to grow, we said, guys, be careful. You have the triangle in the middle and you're going to go up. See? So it's understanding the concept and the patterns that as they're developing. It's not about labeling and putting all those fancy things and come to argue with people in TradingView and blah, blah, blah. That's not what the point is. And I want you guys to realize that it has to be based on knowledge. I like to see people on TradingView post this. And this really freaks me out. It freaks me out for 2 reasons. One is we all know why they posted. And the second thing is a lot of newbies are in TradingView. I think more than 80% or 90% of TradingView's community people are new traders, literally new traders. And they believe that crap. People do things like this. Hey guys, remember this is a changing. This is a, you look for this pattern in the chart. I'm like, if I give you that chart, I'm looking at the people posting these for likes, and I'm telling them, if I give that chart to you, if I find a chart and give it to you, you will never find this in the chart and show me, especially when it's developing. It's like it's that easy. Take the chart and go look, right? Look at these. When it goes to the 618, that's it. That's the end of this wave, or that's the end of, yeah. Let me give you a chart and you show me that it happens like that. They can't. They can't do it because that's not so. That's not how the chart moves. They can post a lot of crap that is designed to show that stuff. But let them do it in the real charts. Give them the real charts and let them show you whether they have these forecasters. Let them tell you for sure that one day before, a single day before this one, let's go to the one we have. That is when they break this. I want to see the 4 hour. I think I have one on the 4 hour here. A day before the move, when you can forecast that this move will still go down, because this one, a single day before that happened, you're saying this is going to come up here, make a C wave, and then fall. I posed this, and I actually wrote it one day before. Wave count the day before the big day. It's not like I don't know what's going to happen the next day. I know what's going to happen the next day. And I said, watch it. Oh, sorry. Let me bring it back. I said, watch it to come up. It's going to go up. See it? It's going to go up and then it's going to fall. That is what I posed the day before Brexit. You don't have to label the charts. It's not about the labeling. The labeling is irrelevant. Elliott just put the labeling so you're not lost in the chart. Right? That is what he put it for. No, I'm not in the chart as yet, but I'm looking for a chart. I'm looking for a GU chart. I'm just not in it as yet. But yes, we're looking for a chart in the GU. That is what you have to do. And you know, people come and they label it. I don't have a problem with you labeling it and doing all this stuff. I really have no problem with what anybody is doing. I just have a problem when they're hyping for newbies, because they, you know how many people come to me? I spoke to a guy even today only who lost his account for the same reason. Right? Hey, I've been there. I've been there. I know what it feels like. And you don't want people to hype you. I paid $5,000 to a guy to learn support and resistance. So I know what it feels like. I told him thank you, and I moved on. We're waiting for this to break for a sell-up. This way, this is the C wave. It's still going up. We're looking at this as the C. This is the A, B. Actually, it's not a C. It's a WXY. We can't go into the details, but I'll tell you we're looking at this structure as a WXY. Possibility for a Z. WXY. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Not my fault. Let me just take that out. Let me grab it back again. WXY, X, and a possible Z. Now, I don't think the Z wave will come, but we will always look for it. There's a reason we trade like that, right? We will see and we will know if it's going to come when this starts to come down. So I'm looking whether this comes down very sharp, whether it comes down to make a bigger structure. We'll see it come down, but we're looking for a sell. Yes, contracting flat. We just give it a name like that. The real structure that we found that nobody else can identify, not even Elliott identify, is something we call the AB squeeze. And believe me, that one is amazing. I don't know how Elliott didn't see that. Probably in the charts he was looking at, he didn't see that. But the AB squeeze is an amazing pattern. It repeats itself so often. AB squeeze, my traders give it the name, right? I didn't give it that name. They wanted to name it after me. I was like, don't even go there. I'm not interested. I don't put my names on things. I don't write wave on my name and all of that, right? They call it the AB squeeze. I think my traders give it the name. Which one of them I wouldn't remember. But they came up with that name, AB squeeze. And that thing is amazing. When it breaks, it goes, right? It's a pattern that repeats, very distinctive, and it repeats itself over and over and over. And we see it so often in the charts. Right? So once it's a pattern that repeats itself, that is what Elliott would have labeled, right? Show you an example. I'm not sure I am allowed to do that. My traders might not be happy about it, right? I'll draw it for you, tell you what it looks like, and you'll have to find the example. It gets a sharp impulse, very sharp impulse for an A wave. You get a B wave, and then you start a channel. This has a 99% chance of breaking down. It's a corrective structure. I think that's the farthest I can go to show you that. I can't go further than that. Right? There's a lot of things that we do in our room that I can't show it here, right? And we just can't, because those guys are paying for it and they spend a lot of time learning that stuff. I just can't, do it away. But if you guys, here's the thing. When you come, the idea of coming into our trading room is not just to learn Elliott wave. We don't teach you Elliott wave as such. We teach you how to identify the patterns in the charts. That's why you come to our room for. And you come to be in a group, you come to be with a group of professional traders. People who actually trade, some of them trade for a living, people who actually trade live accounts, and people who are serious about trading. That's what, just being in that community is worth joining. You will get all the knowledge you ever want, because we discuss a lot of things, we test a lot of things, we back test structures, people come up with new strategies, we look at it, we test and we back test. We're open in the group to things like that. That's what the group is about. Right? So all of you, thank you for coming. You're a very supportive group. I hope you guys could help share the link so more people get it and we see more people in next time. We still have 300 plus people today. So TradingView is nowhere affecting what we do. And as long as I am able to pass that knowledge over to you guys and show you, I will do it. Thank you for being here. See all of you. Take care. Bye-bye.